welcome back to 365 Days of Celebrations. And today we are diving deep to the soulful world of the saxophone as we celebrate National Sax Day.
Well, our story begins in the 1840s with this guy, Adolf Sax, who probably never knew how trendy his invention would become. I mean, he combined brass with a woodwind vibe to create the sax. Talk about bridging the gap.
Yeah, and originally the sax was meant to charm classical orchestras and military bands, but you know how the DC didn't get the VIP invite. That is, until jazz came along.
Jazz, the genre that truly hugged the sax and said, "You're with us now." Icons like Charlie Bird Parker and John Coltrane took the instrument and made it into an icon. Today, the sax is iconic in various forms of music genres, from jazz to pop, symbolizing Adolf Sax' lasting innovation.
So now, let's get into the heavyweights of the sax world.
Yes, Selma Paris, with a history that dates back to 1885, introduced the esteemed Selma Mark IV. This company is renowned for crafting some of the world's top professional saxophones and boasts an annual revenue of $35 million. Consequently, it is a highly respected in the saxophone industry and frequently regarded as one of the leading saxophone manufacturers.
Not bad, yeah? And then Yamaha, originating in 1887 in Japan, began as a piano and reed organ manufacturers. And then they expanded into the production of reed instruments in the 1960s. And Yamaha is celebrated for its high quality across a diverse range of musical instruments, from beginner to professional models. And their saxophones in particular are esteemed for their really good playability and consistent intonation. And the company booked an impressive revenue of $17 billion.
Wow. Naturally, we can't forget Yamaha, bringing Toyota's finesse to the table with the early 20th century. Renowned for its professional-grade saxophones, Yamaha stands shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Selma Paris when it combines quality. Their instruments are celebrated for their flawless craftsmanship and resonant sound. The company's annual revenue is an impressive approximate $19 million per annum.
Not very well. So, speaking of geography, some countries just can't get enough of the sax.
Indeed, the US is arguably the heartland of the saxophone due to its central role in the development of jazz. From the smoky jazz clubs of New Orleans and Chicago in the early 20th century to the bustling streets of New York City, the sax became an emblematic instrument of jazz.
Oh wow. And while the US saw the saxophone start in jazz, France played a significant role in its classical development. And the saxophone, as we had already mentioned, was invented by Belgian Adolf Sax, but it was in Paris where it gained early acceptance in orchestras and conservatories. And the Paris Conservatory is one of the world's most famous musical schools, was one of the first who offered specialized courses in saxophone performance.
Interesting. Japan is renowned for its meticulous craftsmanship, and this extends to the saxophone production. After World War II, jazz became incredibly popular in Japan. Cities like Tokyo having a thriving jazz scene with numerous clubs and events. The saxophone as a stable as jazz instrument naturally became a beloved instrument and centre of that.
And then there are the legends. Charlie Parker, known as Bird, was a pioneer figure in the development of bebop, a style of jazz characterized by fast tempos, complex harmonies, and virtuosic technique. His improvisational genius made him one of the most studied saxophonists in history.
Yes. John Coltrane, often referred to as Train, played an essential role in shaping modern jazz. His work in modal jazz and his later avant-garde explorations have influenced countless musicians. Albums like A Love Supreme and Giant Steps are staples in the jazz education and appreciation.
Yeah, and finally Stan Getz, also known as The Sound, was celebrated for his smooth and melodic style. And he played a really significant role in popularizing bossa nova music outside of Brazil with such hits as The Girl from Ipanema.
Should start singing? Now, before we wrap up, let's blow your mind with some sax facts. Invention for a competition. Adolf Sax, the instrument's inventor, originally designed the saxophone for a competition in Brussels in 1841. His objective was to bridge the gap between the tonal qualities of woodwind instruments and the power of brass instruments.
Wow, so most people are familiar with the soprano, alto, tenor and baritone saxophone. However, the saxophone family actually comprises 9 members. These range from tiny sopranino and the rare sopranissimo on the high end, and the large bass, contrabass and rarely seen sub-contrabass at the low end.
Rejected by the classical world, embraced by military. When Sax first introduced the instrument, he intended it for the classical music realm. However, it faced resistance and didn't gain widespread acceptance in an orchestra. Ironically, it obviously found its way initial success in military bands across Europe before later becoming synonymous with jazz in the US.
So, during the First World War, the saxophone potentially saved lives, just imagine, yeah. Its sound clouded heard over the noises of battle, so it was used to convey orders or signals to troops, ensuring the coordination during the chaos of war.
Oh wow! One of the most expensive saxophones ever sold is the Ladybird tenor sax, which once belonged to the legendary jazz musician Charlie Parker. In 2005, this particular sax was sold at an auction in Christie's. The instrument fetched an astonishing $225,000, making it one of the most expensive saxophones ever sold. The high price is a testament not only to the instrument's qualities, but also to Parker's enduring influence and the instrument's historic significance.
So, alright everyone, from the soulful strains of jazz to the catchy hooks of pop, the saxophone has covered us all. So here is to National Saxophone Day, a day to honor the sweet and sultry sounds that only sax can deliver.
Sure. Now remember, life is always a bit richer with some sax in the mix. Until our next celebration, stay melodious and keep the music alive.